Glad to see everybody is well. Is everybody well? Everybody should be well, happy, healthy, well. Love, peace to everyone. Especially, let's big shout out to Ukraine and Russia. Love and peace. Love and peace to the people. And that's important. Love and peace. Very, very important. So I think what we're going to start off with this morning, we're going to start off by looking at a video of the USS Hornet. So what came into the armory just recently was the USS Hornet. So Lord C. Mountbatten, or actually his name is Sea Lord Mountbatten. I keep screwing it up. He had allergies the other day. We had him going yesterday with the Adriatico or whatever that's in the dockyard right now with the new patch. So he's got the Hornet. He's going to tell you first impressions. Is it like the Enterprise 2 or is it useless? So let's see what he says about that. Any questions or comments, let us know in chat. And yeah, just enjoy. Enjoy.
Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we have the brand new Tier 8 Premium Aircraft Carrier Hornet import to review for you guys today. Before we get going into the review though, I just want to give a huge shout out to the channel's Patreons. For those of you that don't know, I am not affiliated nor supported by Wargaming in any way, shape, or form. So all these ship reviews I either have to purchase with funds from the channel or funds from the generous Patreons whose names should be up on screen at this moment. So again, a huge shout out to you guys, and thank you guys for making this review possible. Alright, so the Hornet, Tier 8 Premium U.S. Aircraft Carrier, real still historical ship here. Of course, the ship that the Doolittle Raid was launched from, and as you can see, she does in fact have her B-25s on deck. I'm so glad they managed to get that in the game and somehow get that to work. How good is it? We'll see here in a moment. So yes, we have two of the Yorktown class carriers in game with the Enterprise and the Hornet now. And hopefully the Yorktown, which was announced alongside the Hornet, will eventually make it into the game in some way, shape, or form, so we can have all three of the Yorktown sisters in game. That'd be very, very cool. And I just gotta say too, art department as always, knocking it out of the park here. The model looks very good. I assume it's just the Enterprise's whole model, but there are some clear upgrades. Enterprise is quite an old ship in the game now, but the model looks great. So again, as always, hats off to the art department. Beautiful, beautiful model here. And I don't know how it checked yet, but they do have a pretty cool alternate permanent camo for the Hornet. Is that... yeah, there. So if you want to buy this camo, which I think looks very nice, I like the color combination, you can buy that. There's another 5,000 dubs, though. On top of a ship that's already 12,300 doubloons is a pretty steep asking price, but the camo does look nice in my opinion. I might consider picking it up later. Alright. But anyway, this is the perma camo that she comes with. You, of course, if you do have, I think it's Halsey's mission done, you do have a couple of choices of alternative camos here for it. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the ship, her characteristics and stats. Then I'm going to take her into battle for some time, and I'll join you back in a voice-over review, talking about my first impressions of her. But for now, let's go ahead and go over her characteristics and stats. Armor layout, again, you know, the ship isn't as important here. The planes are really what you're going to be using 90% of the time, but the flight deck is 25 millimeters of armor, bows 19, side is 40, stern is 19 as well. You have some other hangar plating up here that's 19. So that's 38. Then there's the hangar's 19. And her citadel is just a little bit above the waterline, and I do believe it's covered by the torpedo protection, the 102mm plating there, and yeah, not much else. Alright, so no surprises there. It's going to be pretty similar to the Enterprise. So our ability, she has 50,000 hit points with 28% torpedo damage reduction. And of course, her aircraft, she has some Douglas TBDs with 2 attacking flights. Now, I do believe the way this works is that there's fairly large attack flights in each flight, but you only get 2 of them. So, for example, with the torpedo bombers here, you get 8 planes per squadron, but 4 planes per attacking flight. So, you attack with 4 planes at once, and the torpedoes are the Mark 7s. You get 1 torpedo per plane. They do a maximum of 4,667 damage. They travel at 35 knots. They have a 3-kilometer range. They have a 344-meter arming distance. So with 4 planes altogether, you'll be doing a little bit over 20,000-ish maximum damage per run if they all connect, and if they all do their maximum damage, which of course won't happen. So realistically, I would be expecting about 14 to 16,000 per run if you get all 4 on target. And the planes are very slow: 112 cruising speed, 147 knots maximum speed. The engine boost is active for 20 seconds, and they regenerate in 62 seconds. That's actually pretty good. All right, and then you got the Douglas SBDs, 2 attacking flights here, and 5 planes per attacking flight, 10 planes per flight. So that's a lot of bombs. And they are AP bombs. Ooh, interesting. So 1 bomb per plane. So 5 bombs with a 3,600 maximum bomb damage. So that, oh god, that, again, around a little over 20,000 potential maximum AP damage. Of course, that's not going to happen all at once. Well, who knows? It might, maybe. Maybe every now and then you might just absolutely obliterate some poor Tier 8 battleship for 20,000. Good god. But I wouldn't expect that to happen. The reticle's probably pretty wonky. But again, we'll see. So 122 knots maximum speed, 157 knots maximum speed, engine boost at 20 seconds. The engine boost reloads in 40 seconds. Again, 5 planes per attacking flight, 10 planes per squadron, 20 planes on deck, and 1 unit every 62 seconds is the regeneration rate, which is, again, pretty good. Alright, then of course we have the B-25s. These are essentially level bombers. So they have a hit point pool of 4,890, cruising speed 105 knots, max speed 140 knots. They have an engine boost of 20 seconds, engine boost reloads in 40 seconds, 6 planes per flight, and they all attack at once, so it's all 6. And from my understanding, this should work like the... Ooh, this is interesting. Let me see. I want to double check, because supposedly it works like the Kearsarge and the... Yeah, it works like the Kearsarge and the... Yeah. And the Issei, where you have to wait 2 minutes for the planes to become available. You can lose all 6 of them, but in 2 minutes they become available again, so it doesn't really matter how much you lose of these aircraft. You're always going to have 6 of them available in 2 minutes, and that's what it's supposed to look. It's supposed to. That's how it's supposed to work. But we'll see. English is hard today. Oh, I am still sick, by the way, if you can't tell. So I sound a little funny, and I get some stuff a little screwy. I am on a lot of allergy medicine, so I do apologize for that. All right, so you get 4 bombs per payload. Maximum bomb damage is 7,300. These are HE bombs. They give in 42 millimeters of armor, and they have a 41% chance of causing a fire on the target. All right. So, again, very glad they added in the B-25s to see how they work. Now, the A defense, she only has an A rating of 62 compared to the Enterprise, who has an A rating in the 86 range. I do believe the Hornet is, of course, the earlier variant of the Yorktown class during the war, because, of course, she has B-25s, and that raid happened very early in the Pacific War, so that does make sense. Maneuverability has max speed of 32.5 knots, which is good. A turret circle radius of 1,060 meters, and radar shift time of 12.3 seconds. In terms of concealment, she's concealed from 13.8 kilometers base. Alright. And for her modules, and her equipment. You have fighter and damage con, of course. It's on auto, so the AI will take care of that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and slap a module and commander build on her, and I'll meet you guys right back here after that. Alrighty, so what I did here was essentially the same build I did on Enterprise, where I built into the torpedo bombers, especially so considering that you have AP dive bombers, which a lot of time it's kind of like a slot machine. It's really down to how do the bombs fall, how does RNG treat you. So most of your consistent damage is going to be coming from the torpedo bombers, especially so since the B-25s are only available every 2 minutes, and it's only one squadron every 2 minutes. So you're going to be using a lot of the torpedo bombers and leaning on them for your damage. At least that's what I'm thinking is going to happen here. So that's why I went with this build. So I went with, for the modules at least, Air Groups Mod 1 to get the planes back to the carrier faster. That increases our cycle rate. Aircraft Engines Mod 1 because that gives you a longer engine boost, and these are slow planes, and we're going to be using that a lot because it's either that or damage con, and carriers don't really care about fires. Ironically, that's what killed carriers a lot during World War II, but in this game, it's a mild inconvenience. Then I went with Aerial Torpedoes Mod 1 to get the torpedo speed up because these are slow torpedoes. They went like 35 knots beforehand. There's a lot of ships you can see that can outrun those. So, bit more speed is what we want. Then I went with Torpedo Bombers Mod 2 that gives the torpedo bombers a little bit more health. Then with Flight Control Mod 1, which increases the aircraft preparation time and increases the amount of slots available on the deck. And for the commander build, I'm using Halsey. Very appropriate. Although he was on Enterprise, but you guys get what I'm saying. So with Air Supremacy, which further decreases the prep time of the planes. Then I went with Improved Engines, which increases the speed of the squadron. Again, these are slow planes. We want them to be going a little bit faster. Then Swift Fish for another 5% to the torpedo speed. Then Torpedo Bomber, which is a very bland name for this skill, which gives the torpedoes less arming distance, so we can drop them a little bit closer if need be. Then I went with Sight Stabilization to give the aiming speed a bit of a buff to the aircraft, which is very nice. Then I went with Aircraft Armor, which reduces the amount of damage that they take from the AA. Then I went with Enhanced Aircraft Armor, which reduces the amount of damage they take from AA shell explosions. And then Proximity Fuse to give us that anti-torpedo protection damage negation. So, yeah. Building to the torpedo bombers here pretty excessively. Hopefully that'll give us a nice, good, consistent source of damage income. So now the torpedo bombers have 1,838 hit points. They now travel at 115 knots. Base speed, maximum speed 151 knots. They have an engine boost time of 22 seconds, and they are ready in 56 seconds, which is very nice. The dive bombers, they too are now available in 56 seconds. They travel at 125 knots, max speed 161 knots now. The B-25s travel at 108 knots. They are boosting at 143 knots, and their preparation time is now down to 162 seconds. So yeah, that's interesting. So I'm going to go ahead now and head into battle. Again, I'm not the best carrier player in the world, but we'll see how this goes here with the Hornet. So I'll meet you guys there for voiceover review. Alright guys, voiceover Mountbatten here. Still congested. Approximately 2 hours later, I have 2 hours of Hornet matches recorded on my hard drive right now, and boy, except for this one and one or two others, they're all terrible. Now, of course, I am not a very good CV player at all. I've come a long way since I first picked up CVs after the CV rework, but I'm far from being an actual good CV player. I would say I'm probably average in most CVs. The only one I'm actually good at is Graf Zeppelin, because that ship's so stupid and memey. I've played God knows how many hundreds of matches in it. I actually have above average stats in it. But the Hornet, so the best way I can describe the Hornet, it's like you go to a car meet and you see this Mustang. It's got the GT badges on it. It's got all the trim pieces, the bumpers, the lights, all the things indicating it's a Mustang GT. But then you open up the hood, and it's a 4-cylinder EcoBoost. So, That's what the Hornet's like, because you see it, it looks like the Enterprise, it's the same class, and you think, oh, it's the Enterprise, except, it doesn't have the rocket planes anymore. They traded that out for the B-25s, and they've messed with the squadrons a little bit, but it should be like the Enterprise, right? No, it's not. It is not at all. So, you have one squadron that you can depend upon, and that is your torpedo bombers. The torpedo bombers are good. And I really like what they've done here with the squadrons. It's kind of a mix of the Soviet CV all at once squadron mechanics and still a little bit of course, American. So the torpedo bombers are very reliable. You get 4 planes in an attacking squadron, 8 planes all in all. And like I said in the port section, true enough, if you get all 4 of those planes on target and they all hit, you will be doing about 16,000 damage a run. That is, of course, if your planes don't get shot down, if you don't miss. More than likely, it's going to be around the 10,000 range. And in the matchmaking I had, when I was constantly being shoved in the face of a bunch of Tier 10 CV, not CV, Tier 10A boats, that didn't happen. In most cases, I was getting like 3 through, actually. That's using the heal and using that squadron number 2 as a sacrificial squadron. That's another thing, too. You can't do the normal conserve plane strategy where, like in most of the other CVs, you have 3 or 4 or 5 squadrons. You can, drop one of them early, send them back to the carrier so you can start to conserve planes. You can't really do that, but that's not really a problem in Hornet because of the very low regeneration rate of the, well, very high regeneration rate, very low regeneration time of the planes. The build that I have on it, again, it's like 52 seconds. And getting on to the next point about these planes, they're so freaking slow that you normally won't run out of planes. Even when I had this one match, when I think the cruisers on the enemy team was a Minotaur, a Smolensk, then they had a Ragnar and a Smoland and a Gearing, and then the ships were a Jean Bar and an Iowa and a Missouri. So yeah, just an absolute stacked AA team. I didn't run out of planes, but I sure as hell couldn't do a whole lot because I couldn't really get through the AA. So the torpedo squadron, them are your boys. Them's your boys. They are the ones you can count on. They can do damage. The other 2 squadrons, the B-25s, okay. When they are up and they are usable, they are good. They are very good. Now, they're slow. Of course, they're B-25s. They're medium bombers. They turn like a brick. Again, they're medium bombers. But they also hit like an F-250, too. What's really neat about them is that they're reticle as a circle, so you can approach a ship from just about any angle, the front, the side, diagonally. It doesn't really matter as long as you get that middle cross on the center part of the ship, and you will chunk them for, in my experience, like 16k and start a couple of fires. Go after the ships that have big superstructures, American battleships, French battleships, especially French battleships too, German battleships. You'll chunk their superstructure for like 16k, and you'll set 2 fires, and they're wonderful for that. But they're only available every, if you have it spec'd, they will, let me pull it up here on the menu. They'll be available every 162 seconds, so a little under 2 minutes.
I don't know.
Which, again, with
Wargaming
how
just
slow
seems to
your
screw
other
over
planes
the
are,
U.S.
you do one run
Navy
in the torpedo
in
bombers,
favor
and
of the
they're already
Russian
almost-
friggin' Navy,
almost
guys.
available. So yeah, they're nice, but again, they're only available every 162 seconds. They are slow. They don't get any heal. They don't get any fighters though, so you can't, call on a fighter or anything while
It's
you're
not a
using
cheap
them. They
purchase
do get the
either.
engine boost, and the engine boost does charge back up. They also get the consumable that, of course, extends that for however long it does, so that's nice as well. But again, they're only available for 2 minutes. So you got one squadron, you can really rely on the torpedo bombers. You got one that's good when it's available, and of course, two, you can lose all 6 of the B-25s, doesn't matter. 2 minutes, they're back up. Then we get to the AP bombers. These guys are garbage. They are terrible, terrible.
Just
terrible.
what you
Now,
wanted
on
to
paper,
hear.
they sound pretty good. They do have really good pins, but their arming threshold is really, really, really large as well. So what ends up happening is that 90% of the time you're going to overpin the ship because the bomb's going to go all the way through the ship and explode underwater. And they don't have enough pin to get through superstructure. So you either pin the superstructure or overpin the ship, unless you run to a ship that's, of course, notoriously easy to citadel with AP dive bombers, so German battleships. I think the American heavy cruisers are as well. I did citadel Congress pretty readily when I was playing the Hornet. Other than that, they're useless. And even when you do citadel, the bombs are tiny. Tiny, tiny. It's a tiny, tiny bomb. It only does 3,600 damage. So when you do bomb them, you get like 1-2 citadels. It's only 6,000 damage. It is citadel damage. Don't get me wrong. So that is nice, but it's just what I recommend if you do pick up the ship, which obviously I don't recommend you pick up the ship, unfortunately. Um, these are
Not
the planes that you
recommended,
send
folks.
when you don't really know where that Minotaur is at, and you want to go find it, because you can lose these guys and you're fine. You don't want to use these planes anyway. So they're the sacrificial lambs for scouting or flying over a DD. These are the planes you can afford to lose because they don't really do too much. Oh, and if you can't tell too, they don't actually dive bomb, they carpet bomb or glide bomb, I think is the technical term for what they're doing here. So, yeah, yeah, it's not good. They don't approach well. The bombs don't do a lot of damage. They're going to overpin a lot. And there's only really a handful of ships you can actually get good, consistent hits on with them. And if those ships aren't in game, then these bombers are pretty
They're
much
useless.
So you really want to be bouncing back between the...
Useless, they say.
What I tried to do at least was the torpedo bombers, and then
Holy
if like, there
crap.
was 10
Holy
seconds left
crap,
in the
useless.
B-25s, I'd wait the 10 seconds and launch them. I would only use the AP bombers when I really needed to. Overall, I'd give the Hornet
Okay,
a
you're
5
paying a lot
out
for
of
this
10.
friggin' ship.
It's
5 out of 10.
pros being the torpedo squadrons are a source of good, consistent damage, and they attack in very large waves. And if you do manage to get all of your torpedoes on target.
Okay, folks, so this is the USS Hornet, United States Navy Hornet. Historically, they seem to have done quite well with the portrayal of this ship. But as he's saying, it's a mixed bag. It's compared to the Enterprise, which used to be the premium tier 8. He's only giving it a 5 out of 10. So it's not cheap either. So you've got what? One group of planes, the torpedo bombers, that are half decent. That's it. So, and a guy like myself that can't play CVs well, I'm in trouble. Holy crap. Holy crap, I say.
Target, you will be chunking ships for quite a lot. The B-25 is also a very powerful resource with very powerful HE bombs. They have a nice reticle, and it is the Hornet. It's a very neat historical ship, and I'd like to see that in game. It is also a viable American carrier commander trainer. Of course, a lot of the skills you'll be specking in here with torpedoes will be carried over to the American carrier line. Although, of course, you may have to respec some here and there for the usable dive bombers of the American carrier line as well. The downsides being the planes are horrendously slow. The planes don't have a lot of health. The AP dive bombers, well, not even dive bombers, the AP bombers are completely horrendous. Like I just mentioned, they're not dive bombers. They carpet bomb or glide bomb. They have very, very minuscule damage. They have insane armor threshold and arming time, so you're going to overpin most targets. And the B-25s are only available every 3 minutes base, 2 minutes and 42 seconds with the build on it. And all around, it's just, God, I wish it was better. I really do. Carriers don't get a lot of love in this game, obviously, but if there's a carrier that was going to be, accepted by a large chunk of the player base, especially the North American player base, it would be the Hornet. And she's really subpar. Now, I know some players might rejoice at this because, it's a carrier that's not insanely overpowered. And yeah, it's true, it's not overpowered. Consider this, too. I only ran across none when I was playing. Normally, the morning of patch day, morning of the day after patch day, which is normally like a Thursday or Friday, which tends to be the days when the new premiums get released. The new premium is normally everywhere, but I didn't run across any. And the way matchmaking is supposed to work, it's supposed to try to get your exact ship on the other side. So Tier 8 American Premium Aircraft Carrier, it should be another Tier 8 American Premium Aircraft Carrier, which would be the Enterprise of the Hornet. I didn't run across either. Now, of course, the Enterprise is very rare, but the Hornet just released, so you would think she'd be out in droves today, but she was not, at least when I was playing which is typically fairly early. We are on spring break right now, so I'm playing earlier than I normally do, but hey, that might be an indicator of something one way or another. But yeah, guys, pass on this one. If you do get her in a Christmas container or in a random container, I do think she's an alright ship if you get used to playing it, but it's a steep learning curve, and the majority of you guys that are interested in carriers probably will pass on her anyway. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about the Hornet in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel.
Okay, so there you go, guys. The USS Hornet, the premium. Oh, let's go back to the screen. This is the premium Tier 8 U.S. Navy aircraft carrier they just put in game. Now, he's giving it a 5 out of 10. It's not a buy recommendation from his point of view. So let's go back, look at his stats. Okay, so he did 140,000 in damage, which is a lot better than what I can do, I'll tell you. But this is supposed to be a premium ship, but he says it's subpar. And, you know, you can tell by, you watch the video, take it from there. So this looks like it's really not a buy, which is a shame. It's an absolute shame, I say. So let me know what you think in chat. So that's the USS Hornet. I'm not a CV player. Is it something I'd like to play? You know, I'd like to get more involved maybe with the CVs and maybe even but the submarines I think is just a bad fit too. A really bad fit because, you know, you got random battles. It's not like it's a real-time strategy where you've got control over your whole fleet and you can position your assets in a certain way to counteract submarines. You can't do that in this game. It's a random battle, random game. And it was tough enough to get the CVs in, which are the aircraft carriers on that basis, let alone submarines. So submarines are not a good fit. And what I've recommended and expressed many times is to do a separate game format, same as co-op, where CVs, aircraft carriers, and submarines, real guys could play with support cast of bots on each side. That way the surface type ships, which we play like Minotaurs and battleships and destroyers, can play in what their format they're accustomed to, and take this equation out. Because don't forget, you got 12 different guys playing a random battle, and there's 12 different philosophies, and trying to fit in the various different classes, very difficult. So that's why, you know, with battleship, cruiser, and destroyer, it's been able to, you know, work itself out just fine that way. And you can't make everybody happy, obviously. But a good aircraft carrier player, he can change the game totally. Like, really change the game. And same with these submarines. And that's where, in a real-time strategy game, yeah, they would work better. But not in this type of format in a randomized setup. That's the way I look at it. So anyways, this is the USS Hornet. Review of the Hornet. Thanks for watching, and take care, folks.